Yeah, we can do marathon. If there's anything that we touch on, any topic or a book or anything like that, and we write it down, and we collect all of that after this course is over, or during or something, we'll figure it out as a group. Then we can make a time. We're going to continue to have this Monday evening to teach, so we can maybe find the text that you're interested in, or find the definitions or whatever it is that you want to study that we touched on but we don't really go into because we have to go really fast in this course, and then maybe we can go into it in a little more depth. And otherwise, Hector Marcel started the ACI courses again, and he did them directly with Geshe Michael Roach. He studied with Ken Rinpoche, Geshe Losam Tarshan, and then also the great John Stillwell is in course 8, and he also studied with Geshe Michael Roach and Ken Rinpoche, Geshe Losam Tarshan. So those are opportunities to get more of the traditional presentation of some of the books. This course in particular is a presentation that's not in any of the ACI courses, so it's cool like that. But those are great. Some of the words we're saying or stuff like that are 100% covered in those courses. So.
And then the people who will be grading this class are Indy in the back and John right here. So if you do your homework, which please you should do your homework, it'll just get it so much deeper inside. Then you can give them your homeworks when you come to class, and they'll grade it for you to make back to you.
Yeah, some of the funnest times I had when I was taking this course with Bok Jinpa III was getting together with people that I'd met in the studying, and then studying the course with them and becoming friends and getting down, and it's really fun, So go and find someone you didn't know in the class, make some time to study it. Hit each other in the head with a stick or whatever to make it go,
That's how we fell in love.
That's how we fell in love.
This is our first date since Francis was born.
Yeah. Thanks for chaperoning us.
So, Lord Buddha said, one can only understand the pure truth for what it is using balanced meditation. This is from the last course. And so we need to get to that place of balanced meditation, which means we have to fight agitation and dullness. Right? And the last 4 classes of Bok Jinpa all had to do with that, getting to stillness, fighting your obstacles of meditation. So really handy to go back to those at some point. And then the first 4 classes all had to do with those proofs, those analytical proofs. So if those things are new to you, it's always handy to go back to those too, because I only just touched on it. There's so many more that we went over in Bok Jinpa II. So the 3 courses, Bok Jinpa 1, 2, and 3, are giving us like the magic 3, right, of how to get to see emptiness directly. And so what was the first one? What was the first of the magic 3? Compassion. Right? Why do we need compassion?
It's the fuel.
It's the fuel. It's more than that even. It's that it's infinitely stronger karma to do it for others than it is to do it for yourself. And you need that karmic kick in order to understand emptiness. If you're doing it just for yourself, wisdom is going to be foggy. It's going to not make any sense to you. So you need that merit. And we're naturally very selfish. Ori already talked about this a little bit. We have a deeply ingrained habit, and it's constantly viewing everything through me. What about me? From the moment we wake up until the time we go to sleep, if you check, it's there. We're always looking at things through that lens. So it's a matter of turning that habit around. Every time you can remember to turn it around, you have to keep trying to turn it around. And it's interesting, you can do it with logic too. You can analyze. Has thinking about me ever worked to make me happy? as constantly just wanting to feed my own needs, even if it's hidden, has that ever worked to make me happy? You know, and you can say, even if you did get nice things, once you get those nice things, you're unsatisfied, right? The happiness never lasted more than a second, you know. And then you can look at the worst moments of mind. Every time you felt pain in your mind, if you peel away the layers of what was there, there's always what about me underneath it. Always. You know? So you can use logic and say, well, it's never worked to make me happy. I'm going to try a new method. You know, I'm going to try compassion. I'm going to try to turn my mind towards others. And then what happens is you're close to wisdom already. You know, you're already there. And we talked about also in Bok Jinpa II, maybe it was, that, or no, it was 1, that when you are working with compassion, you're working with the wisdom channel in your inner body. When you're working with selfishness, you're working in one of the 2 side channels and you're choking off the wisdom channel. So in an inner body way, you're blocking the road to emptiness if you're thinking about yourself. And like Ori said, what was Master Kamalashila's way of arriving at compassion?
Looking at suffering.
Yeah, looking at the pain of others. You have to look at the pain of others. You know, and then that pain is something that you let it open your heart. You know, and it's something that is so the opportunities for you as a New Yorker available. Because suffering's all around us all the time. Walk down the street and I guarantee you'll find somebody lying in the middle of the street, right? And we just often just walk right by. We don't know if that person's dead or not. We just walk right by. And one time Ori and I were walking nearby and there was a guy lying in the street. And Ori was like, excuse me, excuse me, excuse me! And like shaking the guy, and then finally he stopped and he was like, I'm sleeping! We were like, oh. But you gotta get to that place, right? It's like you have to make it your way of being, you know? And then one day, compassion becomes like the fabric of your body, your Buddha body. You will be made of compassion. So that was the first key. Then the second of the magic 3 is you have to become obsessed with emptiness. You have to become like an emptiness nerd. One time, on the way back from Rhode Island, we were like, let's think of as many proofs of emptiness as we can. And like the whole ride, we were like, what a many? And then we were like, it's like so dorky, but it's like that, right? You have to think about it all the time, every moment of your day. When you're eating something, you know, you analyze the emptiness of what you're eating. Does this food ever touch? Is there ever a first moment that this food touches my tongue? Can I point to the first moment? You know, you have to, whenever you're feeling a pleasure, this is the hardest time to ever think about emptiness. You just want to consume it, right? But instead of that, you know, like, say you're with somebody you love and you're feeling like their touch on your skin. You know, and you have a moment where you think like, this is a mental image. What are the ways in which this is a mental image? How can I prove that? You know, and then it's not that you're losing that opportunity of enjoying that moment. It actually becomes an incredible moment. Like you'll feel much more bliss in that moment if you hold the realization of emptiness in that moment, because you understand that it came from you. You understand the nature of how it exists, and it becomes infinitely more beautiful that moment. So you have to immerse your mind in the teachings of emptiness constantly, and that's the second. And then the third is, you know, you have to get to a place of stillness. You have to get to that place of balance in meditation. And some people like to meditate and just get to that place where they feel blissful. This is not what we're talking about here when we talk about getting to stillness. So what are you doing when you're just doing meditation to get to that state of bliss? What are you really doing on a karmic level there?
Burning up merit.
Yeah, you're just, so they say, swiping your karmic credit card. You're just doing what we always do, which is just to consume good things. It's just to use up merit. And what happens when all that merit is gone? You're left with nothing. You're left with the negative stuff. You're left with negative mental images. So getting to a place of stillness and bliss just for the sake of getting to that place of bliss is no different than, it's just on a different sensory level. It's just on a more subtle level, pleasing yourself. Right? Meditation has to include beating the ignorance out of how we see things. It has to change the fabric of, it has to rewire your mind. And then we have to get to stillness to see emptiness directly. Of course we have to get to stillness because it's a platform with which we can see emptiness directly. And then once we do that, then we can really do powerful things.
So course 3 is about confronting our doubts, and it kind of boils down to, what's the difference between what you say you believe and how you act? What's the difference between what you say you believe and how you act? And that question encompasses all of the obstacles that we have to traverse or get over to directly perceive emptiness. Then course 4, Bok Jinpa 4, talks about the levels that you're going to reach. That once you've going up to your direct perception and then onward to Buddhahood. And it's insane. It's insanely profound. Usually it's completely over everyone's head, including mine, and it just sounds like a list. But it is probably one of the rarest things to hear for a person to hear in this world, period. So, in addition to Bhavanakrama, which is Master Kamala Shila's book, we're studying another book in this course called Dode Gondrel, and it's a sutra. So it was written when there was a sutra. Yeah, which was, I know you know it. Anyone that doesn't know, give me wrong answers so I can know. It was around, yeah, so about 2,500 years ago. And they think it could be a little further back now than that. And also, see, the readings in this course are so incredible. So, first of all, Master Kamala Shila, his text is so amazing because he brings all these sutra quotes. So he has all of the root texts. He's backing up everything he's saying with the root teachings, right? Then we have a section of the Lamrim Chenmo in this reading by Jetsun Kappa, which is the steps on the path to Buddha, right? This is probably the greatest book ever written in the Tibetan language. For years I was racking my brain, why is Bhavanakrama not one of the 8 great Lamrim texts? And it's just because it doesn't have the topics. It doesn't have all the topics. It doesn't start with the Lama. So there's differences. So the Lam has every single practice that you do from the very beginning of the path all the way to the very, very end. And it's 3 principal paths, which are renunciation, bodhicitta, and wisdom. And we have a part of it in this, which was translated by Lama Christie and Geshe Michael, and it's really amazing to have a section of that book translated by them available to us. It's in there. Then another text that we're studying is by Nutsu Dharma Bhadra, and it's his advices on the 6 preliminaries of meditation from Daylon, which is called Path to Bliss, which is this unbelievable masterpiece. It is one of the 8 great Lamrim texts. It's by the first Panchen Lama, and it's kind of a steps to the path text that's leaning towards the secret teachings. Right? It's leaning towards the secret teachings. What's so cool about this presentation by Nutsu Dharma Bhadra is it goes into, like, for example, what do you do when you make offerings in a meditation to a being that you're regarding as, the highest evolution of compassion? Are you putting a little dry old little cookie there, or are flowers raining down from the sky, right? So Nutsu Dharma Bhadra is like this master of making any thought into this amazing possibility for creating culture.
Ori's a master of making offerings. Everything he does is nice.
No.
It's true. Anyway.
No.
So the first homework question that you have says, it quotes a quote by Lord Buddha that says, "Use the eye of wisdom to not see." So, what did he mean by that? And one thing he didn't mean doesn't mean to close your eyes or to go blind and not see. Doesn't mean what Washong was advocating either. Do you remember what Washong was advocating, anybody?
Non-thought.
Yeah, the debate that Ori was referring to, that this book was written to settle, was a debate between this practitioner named Washong, and he had many, many followers. And then Master Kamala Shila was like this, gunslinging debate master, and he debated Washong. And back in the day, when you debate, whoever wins the debate whoever loses the debate has to take on the ideology of the person that won the debate. So it was a big deal. And monasteries would debate each other, and people would come to from India to Tibet to debate. So Washong was advocating that the purpose of meditation was to get to non-conceptual thought. And he would use a quote like that from Lord Buddha. He said, "Look, Lord Buddha said, use the eye of wisdom not to see." And he said, "Look, I'm getting to this place in meditation where I'm not having any thoughts at all. And it's beautiful. I'm in this state of bliss. And you can't tell me that that's not the goal." So that was his position. And then Master Kamala Shila just blew him out of the water, right? And he said, what did Master Kamala Shila say?
What is it? He says, "Oh, well, if having no thought means that you're going to get enlightened, then I'll knock you out right now and you can get enlightened the quickest way." That was his first. He went on. But.
And then we also got, in Bok Jinpa II, maybe it was the Ujjaka story. In Bok Jinpa II, we learned about, in the sutras they always refer to, not in the sutras, in the classic texts they always refer to this yogi named Ujjaka, who went into a cave for many years, and he got to a state of stillness. He got to this state beyond called Sitse, peak of the world, where he was just experiencing, no conceptual thought at all, and he was in this beautiful, blissful state. And then he came out of this state, and while he was in it, he grew this crown of dreadlocks, and he had this beautiful crown of dreadlocks that he was really proud of. And when he came out of this state of meditation, a rat had been gnawing on his dreadlocks and had eaten his dreadlocks while he was meditating. And he came out, and he was so furious that his dreadlocks were eaten. And they say that that moment of anger sent him down to the hell realms. So his perception after this beautiful state of meditation was only of hell. He could only have horrible mental images. He had just used up all of his good seeds, in this meditation. And so the whole point is to say that getting to this blissful state doesn't get at the root mistake that your mind is making. It doesn't get at the lie of how you see things. Right? You'll still believe in the illusion. You'll still be fooled once you come out of this state of meditation. And the point of meditation, like we said, is to eliminate your belief in functioning things.
So the root mistake, which is causing all of the suffering in the world, is a belief in functioning things, right? So what is a functioning thing? Very important.
Something that performs, that does something.
Something that does something. It's kind of boring. But it gets a little more exciting when you look at what the synonyms for a functioning thing are.
A working thing?
A working thing.
Producing.
A produced thing.
A cause.
A cause. A result. A changing thing. Right? It's both a cause and a result which lasts only for an instant and is produced by its own specific causes and conditions. It sounds funny because it is totally crazy that every single thing embodies all of those things. That's where you really start to see. That's the code of our misunderstanding. So then we're like, so Lord Buddha said, at the root of desire and the rest is a deep belief in functioning things. So a sword, right? This is my sword. A sword is that which cuts, right? Yes?
Yes.
So shouldn't it be cutting right now? But it's not. Okay? So it's not that which cuts. It's, what would you say? That which has the potential to cut, maybe? Okay, so a sword is that which has the potential to cut. So we're saying it's that quality. But as soon as it's cutting, it's changed qualities. You see? We're taking all those different qualities and we're putting it on one thing. It's totally an illusion. Did that light go past? I feel like it went. The minute it actually cuts, then its quality changed. Do you see that? Which means that if it ever had a quality in the first place, we could have never experienced the sword. Do you see that? Because for it to have a quality, that quality has to be unchanging. And an unchanging thing cannot interact with a changing thing. So what's the changing thing? Every other working thing besides that unchanging sword, and our mind. So for an outside object to possess a quality, we would never be able to perceive it at all. Almost? Close, right? Let me see if we know it. If it actually had a quality, you never actually see the quality.
Is that because it would be an unchanging quality and your mind would be changing and apprehending it would be a change in quality? Or what's the proof behind that? How would they describe it?
Seeing it as an interaction.
So, that we were given some options before. Can an unchanging thing be a cause? Maybe. But it would have to cause the exact same thing over and over and over and over and over again, right? So if sword is that which cuts, then it must be cutting. Right? But it's not. So it has the potential to cut. So it's that which has the potential to cut. But as soon as it's cutting, the potential is gone. Because it's fulfilling that potential. You see? So it appears to have a quality. And simply by virtue of its appearance, it proves that it doesn't have the quality. You see, because it's empty, it can exist. You see, because it has qualities, it's empty, which means it has no qualities. You see? So, what are we doing here? We're ascribing qualities to it, right? We're ascribing qualities to it. And as long as we believe that those qualities are coming from out there, and that they're not due to how we've treated others in the past, then we're going to suffer. Because as soon as you ascribe a quality to an outer object, which is impossible, you're only leaving a few options. And one of the main ones is that you are going to get disappointed. Because a pen, that which writes, no, it's that which has the potential to write. Once it fulfills that potential, is it still that which writes? Then when it run out of ink, then it's going to be a big problem. I mean, not really with pens, it's more with people. Oh, that person is that which makes me happy. You know? And then when it changes, it's a big problem. Now, they are fulfilling my needs due to how I've treated others in the past. Big difference. Then Gelek Rinpoche, this amazing teacher, if you ever have a chance to see him, go see him. He has, for a Tibetan Lama, maybe the best command of the English language out of any Tibetan Lama. And when he talks about emptiness, he's always like, to crowds who really aren't ready to go there yet, he's like, think of it as space. Like, a lot of space to like, it's joyful, it's like, it's roomy, you know, it's like, and it's true, like, when you're ascribing qualities to things, you're putting everything in this tiny box, and you're ascribing qualities to yourself, and if you're this little tiny prison, you know what I mean? So we see something that appears to our senses, indications of form, you know, and then like hardness to this. Like right now I'm touching it, I'm not actually looking at it, so I'm touching it, I have indication of form, and then I'm saying that the hardness, my mind automatically is thinking the hardness is coming from the wall. Okay, and then I can look at it and I can see how the shadows are, and I can see indications of form, and I say hardness is coming from the wall. But it's not true. We think that this wood is hard and is holding us up. Virtue is holding us up. How many buildings today fell down with people in them around the world? How many walls turned to dust in Japan during the earthquake? Hardness does not come from the wall. Hardness comes from your virtue. If it's a good thing. You know what I mean? So then Lord Buddha says, the root of all suffering comes from attachment to what is displayed. It's really interesting, right? One amazing example Lama Christie gave, and it always stuck with me, and it's so amazing, is this thing about the table. You see a table, right? Your eye has the nature of seeing shapes and colors, right? And your mind has the nature of conceptualizing, right? It's a labeler. In your mind you experience labels, okay? You experience mental images, right? Your eye sees shapes and colors, your mind knows table, which means you have never seen a table. Those mental images are coming from your karma. Okay? There's indications of form. There's lines. And then in Bok Jinpa II we looked at it. You know, a car wheel. You know, what part of that wheel is really telling you? You know, could that be something different? It's not coming from the wheel that you see the wheel. You know, and we say, oh, the bus is real, it's going to run you over, which is true, but it's not coming from the bus. It's coming from your karma. You know, now mental image, a wheel, maybe not so important. Mental image of a body that from the moment you're born is decaying. That's important. Mental image of a mom who you're watching helplessly go towards this horrible end result. That's important. You know? And we can learn how to change those mental images. Not now, we can create virtue which will result in a different mental image. Then, like I said, the truth of cessation means there's no more vocabulary for that. No more vocabulary for that. It won't be part of reality, period. You know, I look at Geshe and say, don't be so naive to think that this is the only way it's supposed to be on this planet. There's planets out there where death is not in their dictionary. You know? I love that. Just one thing Lama James said, which I don't want to leave out, and he was referring to what Nancy said. And he said, to not see means that you analyze a thing until the absence of its self-existence appears to you. And at that point, you're not ascribing qualities to it. And you see that it's just a mental image. You see that it doesn't stop, it doesn't start, stop, or stay. And then there is nothing to see. And because it's an illusion, it can function. Okay?
Just to clarify,
Thanks.
you said you see that it's a mental image, and then you see that that also doesn't start, stop, or stay. You know, even the mental image doesn't start, stop, or stay. And then that's the highest view. Because you can get to a point where you say everything is mental image, and that's one school. That's just mind-only school. Everything is mind. Then you have to go further than that, too. Well, let's look at mind. You know? And then you have to analyze that too. Then we get this quote from Master Kamala Shila. He says, what is the definition of form? Right? Because the whole issue is that we believe so deeply in form. Right? We believe that the pen writes. We believe that this cushion is here holding me up. We believe that if I throw this at you, it's going to hurt. We believe in form. What's the definition of form? He says, it's that which we perceive as form. He doesn't even leave room for any kind of ignorance there. He's getting us to see that there's nothing out there separate from us. You know, and if you break it down and analyze it, you'll see. You'll break down the illusion. So homework number 4 says, is it possible to remove heat from fire? And so what is fire? Fire is hot and burning. Is it possible to have fire without the hot and burning? And the answer is yes. Fire, hot and burning is a quality that we ascribe to fire. It's possible with analytical meditation and stillness to hold a realization of the emptiness of fire, and then fire won't burn you anymore. And I'm not just talking about saying, okay, I've had some of these teachings, fire isn't inherently hot and burning, and then you can stick your hand in fire. It doesn't work that way. It's about getting to a place of stillness and going through that analysis over and over and over and peeling away the layers and getting to that jogon, right, that holding of the realization. And as you're holding that realization, you're burning away the seeds to see fire as hot and burning. And when you burn away the seeds to see something with a quality, it no longer has that quality for you. which is why people can walk on water. You can do a meditation on water itself. Take away the quality of wetness and walk on it. And that's what a miracle is. It's someone who no longer bought into the illusion, and they wiped away the seeds to see it that way.
So anytime you're believing in an outside world, separate from you, separate from how you've treated others in the past, that's doubt. So this entire course is about doubt. It's about eliminating the obstacles to omniscience. So we need to just really know what it is. So everything outside is an illusion, and there's a million proofs, and they are perfect. And study them and look at them, and one of them is good enough to bring you all the way. The one, is it a single thing or is it many things? If it's single, can you divide it? But isn't a multiple a collection of singulars? Sounds extremely childish. It is one of the most profound things of all time. You can go all the way with that. And there's a million others, and it's amazing, and our lineage is amazing, and it's all there. And do it and investigate it. Come with us on the journey of investigating and looking around. So at that point, when you're investigating, then you might say, well, then it's all mind. And then just because of the nature of our habituation, we're going to latch onto that. We're going to latch onto that it's all mind. And then you have to go beyond that. You have to you really just have to continue the analysis. So there's nothing there to really help, but it's like if you were to establish that it was only mind, and then you say, I'm looking at something made of mind, like this, within a meditation. Then you can say, is my mind the present or is it the past? Well, the past only exists as a mental image in my present moment of consciousness. I should think all the past, put in the present. Okay, so my mind is the present. How many moments are in the present moment of consciousness? You see? So that's the next stage. That's when you begin to question, what is mind itself, right? And it's empty, and emptiness is empty, and it goes on and on and on and on, right? So using this kind of analysis, using your wisdom, using your data to just help other people, then naturally wisdom will grow in your mind. And then any of your problems, maybe you're jealous more often. Maybe you're angry more often. Maybe you are judgmental more often. Maybe it's not anger or jealousy, but it's just judgmental. It's holding back how you're helping others. All these things can be completely eliminated by your wisdom, 100%. Which means that you need to bring your doubt more down. Less, until it's completely gone forever. And then you can really see, why would Master Kamalashila give a presentation on eliminating doubt and for eliminating the obstacle to omniscience in the same part of his book? It really makes sense. Lama James said, this is Lama James. And he said, anytime you're getting upset, check what you think is fixed. Anytime you get upset at something, check how much you fixed it by getting upset. And there's so many questions you can ask yourself. I was having a chat with a really close friend. We was talking about this other friend of ours who's totally fake. What a fakester. You know what I mean? Talking bad about other people. And the guy's laugh is so fake. The laugh. You're all laughing and he laughing. But so then I said, what does this guy have to do to prove to you, to show you that he's not faking you? You know? It's a good question. Like, what are all these people that you're holding these labels onto them? You're saying they possess these qualities. What can they do to change your mind? You know, all the way rewind back to the beginning of class. All the realizations come from inside of you, right? All of the changes come from inside of you. All of the changes come from inside of you. And if you see someone who's perpetually maintaining how you've seen that, keep showing you that you're so right about your judgment about them, it's because you're keeping them there. You know what I mean? Maybe sometimes our capacity isn't large enough at the moment to really induce a change that we can really see, but that's why you study the teachings, because then you develop faith, and then you act out without doubt, and then you will reach your goals. And trust me, you don't get to enlightenment by leaving everybody behind. And probably there's gonna be a point where you realize that there's a possibility that everybody is enlightened except for you. And it's just as real a possibility as the former. And then rather than working so hard to take everyone with you, all of a sudden they're pulling you up to heaven. And there's nothing you can do about it. You know?
When I first heard that, I was like, oh no! Everyone's enlightened but me. Now when I hear it, I'm like, oh my God. So when we were taking this course, Teddy, are you still here? Asked this really awesome question, which I feel like is the key of this whole course, which I want to share with you what he asked. I don't know if you remember this, Teddy, but you were saying, first of all, the mimes were making a really loud sound downstairs, so maybe you linked it to this question, but you were like, so what do we do, like if somebody is, say somebody's making a lot of noise in your apartment, you know, so should I just sit and think about emptiness? Or should I go and knock on the door and tell them they're being loud? Do you remember this? Mm-hmm. And it's interesting because the people in the class, a few of them were like, do both. You gotta do both, you know, with such certainty. And the lamas didn't say that. They didn't say that, you know. And the idea of this question is so brilliant because it's like, this exemplifies us and how we practice these teachings in our daily lives, right? It's like we get these teachings on emptiness and karma, and it's these beautiful teachings, right? And it's like this thing that we've learned, and it's like this jargon that we have over here, and then here's our real life separately over here, and it's like there's this disconnect, you know. We think that the two don't meet, right? And we think that we can apply these when we feel like it, when it's convenient, when it looks nice. We can apply these teachings, right? But we don't think that they're really going to practically change our daily life. We don't think it's the way, it's the solution. We think the real solution is going knocking on the door. And that this is just interesting, you know? But what happens when you go knock on the door? Let's go investigate. What happens when you knock on the door?
They open the door.
Sometimes. Sometimes they don't answer, right? Sometimes they'll answer and you'll say, could you please keep the noise down a little bit? They'll just be like, ha! Close the door, make more noise. That's happened to me. Sometimes they say, oh, sorry, and they never make a sound again, and that's also happened to me, right? So knocking on the door cannot be the cause of getting the silence after. A cause, by definition, is something that gets the same result 100% of the time. That's how you can designate it a cause. It should get the same result 100% of the time. That's science, right? That's science. That's our worldview, you know. But we don't hold that worldview really. We think, oh, I can call it a cause, even though sometimes it doesn't work. It's not the cause. The real cause is, in the past, you made noise, and now you're hearing noise. You know, and if you go down there and you knock on the door, if you have the karma to have no noise anymore, it will stop. If that seed hasn't run out yet, you still have the noise, right? So this is the whole thing about this course. It's like, do you have doubt or not? Are you really going to practice these teachings or not? And that's why it comes before omniscience. Doubt is in the way of our omniscience because we're not using the teachings that we've been told. We have everything. It's all been laid out for us. It's just, are we going to do it or not? We have the karma to hear it, certainly. Do we have the karma to follow it? You know, and that's all we have to do to get there. So thanks for asking that question, Teddy. And it's really cool because it's like, it applies so much to your practical meditation practice. Because if 20 hours of the day you are acting out of ignorance, that like half an hour, however long you're sitting on the cushion, isn't going to do anything. It's just not. You know, how can it? It's like fighting a huge monster that's taken over your mind most of the time. Right? So now we're going to meditate.
Let's meditate. 2 minutes or less.
2 minutes or less.
So, find a comfortable seat and really relax shoulders. So maybe go through little by little, relax any tension in your neck, down to your shoulders, your forearms, then your back, and your spine is like a column. One vertebrae stacked one on top of the other, all the way up to the top of your neck, right? And then your head is just like, it's just dangling by a string. It's just perfectly there, no tension, no effort. And get any restless, noisy stuff out of the way, and bring your focus to the tip of your nose, where the air is warmest on the exhale, coolest on the inhale. Gently, gently find that point. So we're going to try to look doubt right in the face. Go back to the last moment that you got upset and just review the scenario in your mind. Play it back. And think about the object. Think about the reason that you got upset. And think about what was actually happening according to this Buddhist theory, according to this view. Now the object is supposedly ripening of past karma that you planted by doing something similar. So yourself in that moment didn't believe that. So now take yourself back to yourself of that moment. You are purposely putting yourself in a state of doubt that you had at that moment. You can't prove that it's coming from your past karma, can you? So now let the state of doubt have a little debate. Come up with 3 reasons why this object is self-existence. For instance, it's always there unchanging. It doesn't have parts like a beginning, middle, and end. Everyone experiences it the same way. come up with 3 reasons why the object is not self-existent. Why it doesn't exist in those ways. Is it changing? Does it depend on parts? Does everyone see it the same way? Is it coming from the core? And when you're ready, take a deep breath. Wiggle your fingers and toes and come back to you. So one tip is, this is really good to do with things that aren't necessarily a problem. You know, things that are really going well for you also. I mean, that you're like really enjoying. It's amazing to see. You know, once you've gone through the logic, then saying the stuff about it being self-existent seems so kind of stupid. But in the moment, it's like nothing could be more true. You know, like nothing could be more true. Like defending yourself. You know, I can just imagine a million cases, a million text messages I haven't sent. You know. So just some things Lama James said, that we tend to not ask so many questions about things when they're going well. We tend to therefore take the good things more self-existently. The problem with that is then we grasp onto them as if we could actually take them for ourselves. And that very action of grasping makes you lose the very thing that you want the most. So we have to see things are not truly out there in order to not lose them.
So one thing that we go over in this class is the preliminaries, and we got preliminary teachings earlier in Bok Jinpa, but we kind of refreshed them in this course, which is really nice. And we get them from, like Ori said, from Nuchu Dharma Padra. So the first preliminary, anyone know what the first preliminary is? And this is, if you don't know the preliminaries, you do the preliminaries before you do the analytical meditation. And what's the point of doing the preliminaries?
Prepare your mind. Remove obstacles.
She said prepare your mind. She said eliminates obstacles. It creates merit. Doing the preliminaries creates merit to be able to do the analysis, to get to the wisdom. So the first preliminary is...
Seeing your Lama?
No, seeing your Lama. It's actually, the first preliminary is to clean your room. If you really want a really great song on the preliminary, you should listen to Teddy's rap. Maybe he'll do a live version for us in the class.
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Maybe next time.
Anytime.
That'd be awesome. So the first one is to clean your room, maybe even vacuum. I think I remember. I used to have it in my head all the time, and I used to play it in yoga all the time. Clean your room because nobody, well, some people can meditate in a cluttered room, but generally we say that your mind projects your outer world. So if you have a cluttered room, you have a cluttered mind. I love throwing things away. I love cleaning out junk and throwing stuff away and having a clean room. So try that and see how it changes your meditation. On a deeper level, it's like when you're sitting down, like John said, you see your Lama, you see a holy being, you see an enlightened being. You know, when you're sitting down in your room, you're inviting enlightened beings to come into your room. And you know, when you have like important company coming, you clean, right? So when you're cleaning, you're also saying like, I know you're coming. And you're kind of making that imprint in your mind. And then on another deeper level, it's when you're cleaning your room, you're preparing it for the next person in case you die. You know, and you might even just kill yourself in that meditation, you know, in the highest way. And so you're preparing that death by cleaning your mind. Then the second preliminary is to make offerings, right? And Ori talked about this already. Like, are you just gonna put a dusty little cookie on your altar, or are you gonna make it a real offering in your mind? You know, it's like when Geshe-la and Lama Christie come and they teach. You know, you see people handing them flowers, like in the, you know, before the teachings, and are they just going to hand the flower and that's their offering? They're handing an ordinary flower that's going to die to this other being that's out there? Are they in their mind, you know, and Geshe-la can see this, you know, and you can see how he interacts with people based on what they're doing in their mind. Are they creating this beautiful mandala for this amazing, incredible being that's there that they know is empty? You know, and what's the difference in the karma that they're creating when they make that offering? So think about that. That's the second preliminary. And it feels so good to put offerings on your altar when you think of emptiness and you apply all the teachings to it. We're going to go over the rest of the preliminaries later. So, some homework that you're responsible for. One is to have this mantra in your mind, right? So you should write this down. At the root of desire and the rest lies a deep belief in functioning things. It's from Lord Buddha. So another thing that we should talk about is that you should do daily is your meditation journals. If you're new to the class, the journal that you hand in to us is like your ticket to class, right? This class is free. These teachings are priceless. How could you ever charge for these teachings? The only way you can really get yourself in the door, though, is you have to do these journals. You have to write every day. To meditate every day, at least 15 minutes. Ideally, half an hour or more is good, right? You can't really get to a place of stillness in less than a half an hour. But if you're new, 15 minutes is a good start. And what we want in your journals is 4 things. First is you should tell us how long you meditated, and the time would be good. So we can see, you know, if you're meditating at noon one day and at midnight the next day and at 3 a.m. the next day, if that's affecting your meditation, it's a nice log for you to see yourself too. Tell us the time. Then second is tell us the quality of your meditation. Meaning, you know, if you were in previous Bok Jinpas, you know more specifically about the qualities. You can say you had subtle dullness, you can say you had agitation, or just you can tell us how, like a percentage of time, estimate how long you were on the object. You can say like 20% of the time on the object. On the object means you're doing the analysis. It doesn't mean that you're on an object, even if it's a virtuous object, and you see, like, say you first do your preliminary and you see your Lama there. Then your Lama becomes this rainbow light, then you're meditating on light itself, then you're in this like beautiful reality where you're shooting through space, and that is not on the object. It doesn't count. Even though it was a beautiful thing, that's this they call kaleidoscope meditation. This is not what we're looking for. We want you to tell us how your analysis went, right? So that's the third thing. We want some realization that you had. We want to know how you did in your analysis. Key word you could say is, I saw blank. You know, I saw that blank. Fourth thing is some sort of resolution, like, you know, could be about how your meditation went and what you would do differently next time. I got angry at someone yesterday and my meditation today was horrible. I resolved to apply the teachings more tomorrow, get in my day, like that.
It's good. Then you can start to be more aware of what you're eating, how you're acting during the day. You had fried food, maybe you were a little more dull. You had like really sugary cereal, and meditation was good, so you gotta start eating a lot of sugar. But just really start to like look, not the sugary cereal. An experiment.
And that's our website. I know it's a lot to remember, so you might want to write it down. Senimeba means no characteristic of its own in Tibetan. On that site, there'll be the recording of the teaching, so if you don't come to a class, you can watch the class.
We'll put the link to the video on here, so it'll link you.
Thanks to Jamie for
Thank
that.
you,
She put
Jamie.
it all together.
Can we watch
Thank
it
you.
live?
And you can watch it live on Ustream, right?
Yeah,
Or you can go to the website and link to it, right?
yeah.
Thanks.
And then what else? On that site is also the meditations. So you don't have to memorize what we did in class. You can download the meditation for each class, and you just review it before you sit, and then when you sit, you have it fresh in your mind and you just do it. Yeah, we're gonna really try to end on time because we have a little one waiting for us at
We're like
home.
biting our nails right now.
Yeah, I don't know
Oh my
what he's
God.
doing right now.
You fell down the stairs.
No.
There are no stairs in our house. So if you really got here on time, and that was so nice. So we're gonna really start on time from now on.
If anyone who's going to take the whole class and didn't get a binder, I have 2 binders left.